Good morning, Digit fam. Adam Dowd here, and we made it through another week of tech yummies, which means we all get to sleep in for the next 2 days. And speaking of sleeping in, that nicely leads us into our main story of the day. It is March 8th, 2019, and this is your Digit Daily. When it comes to investing, one of the most important things you can do is to diversify your portfolio. Well, Airbnb is kind of going the other way with that by buying up Hotel Tonight, which, by the way, is a nice service. Hotel Tonight gives you last-minute deals on local hotels when you need a hotel. Wait for it. Tonight! Clever, isn't it? I've used Hotel Tonight in the past when I was in a different country and plans changed quite suddenly. It worked out pretty well for me then. This podcast not sponsored by Hotel Tonight. Airbnb says they bought Hotel Tonight because they want to be able to service their clients whether they make plans a year ahead of time or 12 hours ahead of time, and that totally makes sense until you consider that Airbnb and hotels in general are not exactly sending each other Christmas cards these days. Indeed, Airbnb has taken a chunk out of the hotel industry, so much so that hotels around the world lobby for strong regulation of what happens in people's private homes. When you look at how a gig economy run business has clashed with city, state, and even federal regulation, you look at Uber and you look at Airbnb. And a lot of that is paid for lobbied for by hotels. And hotels, you can imagine, are kind of important for a service called Hotel Tonight. So, what are the long-term ramifications or goals here? Ostensibly, Airbnb wants to become a one-stop shopping for all travel planning. If Airbnb can somehow integrate Hotel Tonight into its offerings, you have a great place to check on all accommodations for a given stay. But even that's not quite right. As implied by the name, Hotel Tonight isn't really a service for a vacation in 3 months. It's for last-minute changes in plans. Maybe Hotel Tonight is designed for jerkbags like a certain Airbnb host in Las Vegas who made us move 3 times before we ended up at a Hooters hotel anyway. Just saying. Now, like Tristan over on the newsletter, I'm a little nervous as to what this might mean for Airbnb in general. Airbnb has flipped the travel industry's buffet table, and this move seems to be less table flippy and more slide into bed with, which I'm not so sure is a good thing. Why would you want to get into the industry you disrupted in the first place? Maybe you want to put your fingers in more pies, which I totally get. Then again, maybe Airbnb simply recognizes the fact that some people aren't comfortable staying in other people's homes. Like my wife, for example. We've spent hundreds more on vacations because she doesn't want to stay in somebody else's house, which is fine, honey, but you realize that a hotel is technically somebody else's house, right? I have a very comfortable couch. Like most deals, we have to sit back and wait to see where this one leads. Maybe Hotel Tonight and Airbnb will be bundled together into some kind of premium service. Maybe one will just help the other out. Maybe there'll be 2 sibling companies run by the same parent. Of course, if they're anything like my brother and I, we are so screwed. Love you, bro. So with that, let's head into the roundup! Okay, look, I'm not saying that Tim Apple is trolling the president, and I'm not saying that Tim Apple is not trolling the president, but Tim Apple is totally trolling the president. Very quietly yesterday, Tim Apple's Twitter profile name changed to Tim, followed by an Apple emoji. Of course, Tim is trolling the rest of us too, because the Apple emoji only shows up on Apple devices. Android and Windows need not apply, which is fine. I use a MacBook. Motorola looks to jump into the folding screen fray with the launch of its new RAZR phone, and some have wondered if the RAZR will have a second screen on the outside, and if so, what it'll be good for. The folks over at XDA have uncovered a number of clues, but the most notable is that the second screen will mostly be used for notifications, not a full Android experience. This is consistent with the legacy of the RAZR brand, but might douse some hopes for Android fans in general. If you're on a Windows machine and you're using Chrome, stop what you're doing right now and make sure you're on the latest version of Chrome. Hackers are actively exploiting a new 0-day bug in Chrome that affects Windows 7 machines, and this particular update requires the browser to restart, so it may not have installed automatically. Just make sure you are running Chrome version 7.2.0.3626.121, and Google, maybe you should rethink your update naming strategy. Geocaching listeners, I promise you I did not just give you coordinates. As for me, I'm on a MacBook, so I'm all good. Suckers! Germany has demanded that Tesla stop advertising estimated fuel savings along with the cost of the car. The reason is simple. Tesla's car is 56,000 euros, and Tesla estimates the fuel savings at 5,000 euros, making the total cost of the car 51,000 euros. Except that's not how math works, and you'll still have to pay Tesla 56,000 euros, so yeah, Tesla, we get it. You'll save gas. It's not like you're giving out a discount. Good for you, Germany, for standing up to them. Bill and Melinda Gates run the largest philanthropic organization in the world, and in 2017 they awarded a grant to a Canadian company called Nuvax, asking that they develop and distribute a low-cost vaccine for pneumonia, which is a top killer for children under the age of 5 in developing countries. Man, the Gateses are righteous dudes. Anyway, Nuvax said, thanks for the money, we'll get right on that, and then turned around and used the money to pay a ton of back rent to its landlord and knock off some other bills. Then they asked Bill and Melinda for more money, and that's not very Canadian of them. Bill and Melinda are now suing them, and they want their money back, not surprisingly. And finally, in honor of International Women's Day, I'd like to talk about possibly one of the first cases of equal pay for women, which happened back in 1896 at the Royal Botanic Gardens of Kew. The women worked the same hours doing the same tasks for the same pay, but they also wore the same clothes, which amazes me that even then, when we're granting equal pay, men can still be dicks about it, no pun intended. Still, things haven't gotten much better since then, and I'm very sorry, ladies. It still sucks to be a woman, but I, for one, appreciate the hell out of you. So that is going to do it for today's Digit Daily. If you'd like to learn more about any of these stories, check out the links in the show notes and subscribe to our daily newsletter at digit.com. And if you like what you heard, subscribe and leave a review in your favorite podcast player. Once again, I'm Adam Dowd, Dead Technology on Twitter, and we'll talk again on Monday.